Oklahoma, in a land that time forgot. Oh well, time seems to have moved on faster than Oklahoma does here. It wasn't yet 2016 when Oklahoma residents said, we would like to not be staying in the Garden of Eden or at the divine creation, as these people are saying, and we would rather not be funding the Christianity. So what are they doing this time? They're trying again, only they're trying to go back even further. Oklahoma once again doing Christianity the only way that it can do Christianity, and that is sneakily and through the back door. This is an article all about how Oklahoma legislators are trying to push through indirect funding of religious buildings. This will primarily be Christian buildings, and Hemet Matter says it better than us all on his Friendly Atheist blog from the 22nd of January, doesn't he, Helen?
Oh, yeah, he definitely did. Okay, so for those people that don't know what the hell we're talking about, so there is a state senator that really loves his Bible. He loves it so much, and he wants all the kids to also love his Bible as much as he loves it, and he wants to take money away from public education and fund it into private schools. And this way there'll be religious teachings within these schools. That's not why we have a secular government, and he's being super sneaky about it because there was a clause in the Oklahoma amendment that says that you cannot use public funds for private education. If you want to go take your
direct.
What?
Direct or indirect?
It was direct, yes. It was direct.
And then is direct and indirect. What this lunatic wants to do, and I call him a lunatic here, there is no ableist terminology that is desired here. But he wants to remove the term
lunatics, please.
It's bedlam over here, but that's Oklahoma for you. Anyway, what we have here is we have a man who doesn't understand how things work. He wants to remove the words indirect from the clause that stopped him from getting a Catholic charter school. That's the long and the short of it here. And Oklahoma is about as red as the top that Aaron is wearing. So, thinking of this and thinking that voters in Oklahoma, they must be all gung-ho for this. Yes, gung-ho, you'd say. Well, actually, no, they told him to sod off last time in 2016, which was quite refreshing at the height of, the 45th president being elected and the first viable female candidate getting defeated and his party getting control of the House and Senate nationally. Voters in Oklahoma went, nah, we don't want this rubbish.
So here we are again. By 57 to 43%.
It was small. It was 12 points. It's 12 points.
That's pretty big, all things considered. I would say that's a pretty big disparity.
So, the question for the pair of you here: if you were living in Oklahoma, Aaron, what would you be doing?
If I lived in Oklahoma, I would be calling up my representatives and say, "Knock it off." This bill, right now, unfortunately, this bill is only in committee, so it hasn't really made it to the floor for open debate and actual passage. But if I was in Oklahoma, I would be calling up my representatives and say, I like our Constitution the way it is. I like that our Constitution says that we cannot fund churches either directly or indirectly. This is a good thing. So please make sure that this does not leave committee, if at all possible. And if it does, it should be soundly defeated. We do not want religion in our government, because what religion does is religion makes thinking and believing things crimes, right? One of the 10 commandments makes thinking certain things a crime. And that's why you do not
cover thy neighbor's ass.
That's right.
Depending what thy neighbor's ass is, thou shalt not cover thy neighbor's ass.
I failed.
And that's why I am against religion. So I'm against religion in our government because of the thought crime.
Do you cover thy neighbor's ass?
It depends on the ass and the neighbor.
And how you're coveting it, I'm assuming. So, Helen, if you were a wonderful resident of Oklahoma, what would you be doing? We're not talking like, the standard stuff, writing letters, phoning people. What would you be doing personally in this context? So
I'd be screaming into a pillow, but I already do that anyway, so at all times. But I would there would not just I like to make stinks. So when I see shit like this, I tend to want to rally other people and make them make stinks, because even if they voted back in 2016 that they were like, no, we like this separation of church and state, I'd be like, hey, remember we did this? Let's do it again. we're gonna do it again. We're gonna
it feels very Irish.
I would want to tell people, like, hey, keep an eye on this motherfucker.
Yes, this feels very Irish, this does. As an Irish citizen myself, I remember there was this thing called the Treaty of Lisbon in 2008 and 2009. We also had it with the Maastricht Treaty and the Treaty of Nice as well. So us in Ireland, we have to vote on a lot of things to change our constitution. And they went, nah, we don't really want this treaty. So what do they do 18 months later? They went, do it again, please, give us the right answer. That's basically what they did in 2008. We went back to the polls in 2009. In 2004, we went back to the polls in 2005. And in 1991, we went back to the polls in 1992 because, we got given the wrong answer. So here are some concessions to you, sweeten the deal, blah, blah, blah. But that kind of feels how it is here. You gave the wrong answer the first time, give us a different answer this time. And where does that actually stop? And does this, in your opinion, make a farce of the believability of the sensibilities and structures of the state law itself, Aaron?
Well, I'm not sure. The law is what we want it to be and what we make it, right? We pass laws and we enforce laws, and so the laws can be whatever we decide. It's all made up, right? The laws get to be what we want them to be, and it's up to the people of Oklahoma. Do they want this to be the law? Do they want their public money, their taxes, to go indirectly towards churches?
And what does that actually mean? When you hear that, what do you immediately think?
I have no idea what that means, to be honest. The article says indirectly means they can fund buildings, or it's kind of vague because the Constitution right now says directly or indirectly, and he wants to amend it to take out the word indirectly. So yes. You can indirectly help a church. So maybe it's
what this means is, let's say Helen wears a dog collar and she has her congregation at the Church of Helen every week. I, as the self-appointed fund giver of Oklahoma, cannot give dog collar wearing Helen any money. But Aaron works for an organization that is not a religious organization, but they work out of the same building that Helen does. So I give money to Aaron, and Aaron then gives the money to Helen. That's how you get round the directness of this. So Aaron runs his nice community group in the back rooms of the church, and Helen charges a fee for that. That's indirect funding, and that's not allowed. You might think, well, what's the harm in that? What's the problem with that? Here's the problem with that. It's because it gives an unfair promotion to organizations to take the piss. Oh, you're a builder that wants to build on this site. What do you want to do? I want to build a community center. Oh, how wonderful for you. Every Sunday, we're going to fill it up with a load of people and somebody wearing a dog collar to talk from this book as well. Oh, that's wonderful. You can do that because of the community funding aspect that we're doing. That's indirect funding, but you've just built a church with it. And this is the idiocy of what we're doing here. The law is written in the Constitution of Oklahoma in a very specific way to stop arse farting around here, to stop
the
battery.
sneakiness.
Because people, unless you nail down the jelly, and that's what you're doing here, you're nailing down the jelly here, someone's going to find a way to drive a coach and horses through it and race the America's Cup through it. And you can't have that. So what we have to say to people like this, we have to say it quite loudly, is bugger off!
Right.
Yeah, so this isn't, it seems like the person that's writing this seems to think that the only religion is Christianity, right? Like what would this person feel if a religion he doesn't agree with starts to get money? Are they gonna?
So here's the thing.
Are they gonna want that? And then
I'll drag us back. Just cut you off here. Just cut you off
Okay.
here. So I'll drag you back here to articles we've done before on the Church of Satanism. The Church of Satanism apply for some indirect funding. Do you think that the man sponsoring this would go, yes, we'll happily give them some money?
No, I absolutely think that's my point, right? That's my point. Is if we gave money to the Church of the Church of Satan, the Satanic Temple, sorry, or a mosque or a synagogue or any of that nature, what would his reaction be? Would he agree with that or not? I have a tendency to think that what he really wants to do is just fund Christian things. Anything that's not Christian, he's going to be against, because that's usually what people like this think. And that's the whole reason. And it doesn't have to do with non-Christian religions. It could also be different sects within Christianity. What happens when a sect you don't agree with in Christianity wants to get money? You still want to give them money? That's the whole reason. That's one of the reasons we try to keep religion out of our government and keep our government secular, is so we don't have these stupid pissing matches between dogmas and religions and beliefs.
So getting down to brass tacks here. Helen.
Yes.
What's the motivation behind this? I mean, not a superficial, he wants more. What's the actual motivation behind this, do you think?
It's Christian nationalist shit, as it always is. It is to force the state to adhere to someone that wants a theocracy. So I am not amidst of this gentleman's name, Senator Dana Prito. Just everybody just remember that.
Dana Prieto. Correct?
Yeah, Prieto. I don't care. Do I care if I pronounce it correctly? No. Prieito. Prieto.
We're not being ignorant here in any way, shape, or form. We're just struggling with the pronunciation because we don't know the gentleman's ethnicity, and as a result of that, there are many ways that you could pronounce this name.
I pronounce things phonetically. That's how I read them. So that's me. Anyway, regardless of my pronunciation of this gentleman's name, he's not thinking of the broader context, as like Aaron brought up, about like other religions. Do they get the same funding? He wants his special book, and because he really, really loves his Sky Daddy, and he wants other people to really love his Sky Daddy, and he knows that indoctrination works. And I find it really funny that he has to do like this like sneaky stuff when, aren't you, like, as a Christian, supposed to be honest? Can't you just be transparent about like what the hell you're doing? No, you can't, because if he directly said to the voting populace that indirect means I want to take this out so I can go around the back way and make sure money's going to private schools.
Here's the next question for you. Do you think that there's a viable argument to be made that if you were to change this, it would render the whole thing moot? Because you could technically include in your definition of religion those people who are irreligious, those who are anti-religious, and, dare I say, people like ourselves who have no religion whatsoever. Because the broad definition of a religion has to include those who don't ascribe to that religion,
right,
in any way, shape, or form, or any religion for that matter. So, Aaron, Helen, how do you see the end point of this, if this is to go forwards and it is just church after church after church. But then some bright spark a few years later goes, that means that we can fund anything we like.
Well, I think it's troubling because it starts a slippery slope of funding religion. So first, the alteration could be indirect, and then the next alteration is direct, right? And then
the next alteration is only.
Yeah, only. And then who's gonna win? Whatever religion is in the majority, and then whatever religion is in the majority is gonna have that power, and they're not gonna let go of that power. Power given is really hard to take away. And so that's where my worry is. If this passes, it's just gonna give more power to the already majority religion in that state, and other people that don't have that power, that aren't part of that religion, atheists, and maybe members of the Satanic Temple, Muslims, and other religions, they're not gonna have any say anymore because the money talks, and whoever's got the most power and the most representation in the government is gonna win.
So
Helen?
I'm inclined to agree, and I'm also concerned that because it's indirect, and my concern is that if the state is mostly Christian, that the indirect funding, who's going to oversee where the money's going, and is it going to be honest? Because that's another thing we have to consider too, because if people have motivations where they don't want like the Satanic Temple or a Jewish synagogue or whatever to get certain funding, they can redirect it, or they cannot get a certain percentage. They can cook books. So like, as Aaron said, like there's a slippery slope here that I would like, because this is direct and indirect, that is a clear distinction to say no. And if we start changing law, and I know the laws are all made up. I understand that, but but the reason why we have the establishments clause is so the stuff like this does not happen. But the thing is, though, is that it's now happening. More and more. That's what we keep talking about on this damn show. And it's just one of those things that, and what's also a little bit frustrating is the fact that Pareto, whatever.
The state senator. He's kind of banking on the members of his constituents to not know what direct and indirect means when it comes to funding. So here's a question. Flip this on its head. Why should we stop this? Why should we? It's free speech. You can believe what you want to believe. Money and the way it is distributed is a form of free speech. Why is this such a bad thing?
Well, I think there should be regulation over money and how much it gets spent, where it gets spent when it comes to the government and things of that nature, because we are seeing right now that whoever has the most money wins. And when whoever has the most money wins, that means you've got to regulate where that money gets spent. And does that make sense?
Not really, no. Not really, no. That doesn't make any sense.
To me, the reason why I don't want this to happen because it's schools. That's my issue. Because I don't like. If I was living in Oklahoma, okay, and I'm sending my child to school, and the charter school gets more funding than the public school because that indirect funding has a preference for the religious charter school. That's a problem. And that's my issue, because if we're going to start distributing funds and we're going to start like doing sort of a ranking, he would prefer that the school that's teaching about a super special book and his super special Sky Daddy, and he wants other kids to learn about a super special Sky Daddy, that's fine, but that you do it privately. I went to Catholic school. My parents paid for me to go to Catholic school when I was a child. That was fine. Did I enjoy it? No, yes. It was terrible. I can tell you stories. But I got a Good Friday off. Like, we got religious holidays off. That was cool. So I have this just leads to a whole bunch of problems. And this is just stuff that I'm just like stuff that's just popping into my brain over, like if you think about it for more than 2 seconds.
So, Oklahoma, nationally ranked number 49 in education in the United States. Oklahoma, one of the most Christian places in America. Is this just free speech and money being free speech? Or is this an absolute affront to the Establishment Clause? If you were in Oklahoma, what would you be doing? Let us know below. Right now.